One of the things I plan to do is I plan to make use of the best asset you give me, which is your attention, right? I'll make very good use of it and make sure I talk about what I'm here for today. So, before I begin, let me ask, what is Web3? I've been hearing this word throughout today, but can someone help me answer what is Web3? What is Web3? There's gifts. I can add gifts to it though to make people. I'll give CRO. Do anyone know what CRO is?
Sorry.
It's crypto.com token. You say what?
Good day, everyone. My name is Ebube Chukwumba. Good day, everyone. My name is Ebube Chukwumba. So, Web3, just like Web2 is centralized with a server, Web3 is decentralized in the sense that even if the server is down, each node has access to the information.
Okay, that's a great answer. Another thing I want to ask is, how do you identify projects that are on Web3? How do you identify projects that are Web3? Why I'm asking this question is that I've been in situations, people say, what is Web3? They say, applications that is Web3 is connect to MetaMask, which is, that's what people think it is, and it's what I've noticed. Once you see any application with connect with MetaMask, connect with this, automatically assumed that that's what Web3 is all about. But there is so much more, and that's what I'm here to demystify the belief. My topic is actually on decentralized DNS, right? Which is the decentralized internet. Which is the decentralized DNS, which is pretty much about internet. So we're going to go back to what the internet is. I'll ask a lot of questions. Like I said, it's interactive. So one of the things is, based on its definition now, projects that have connect with MetaMask, most of them don't even align with the Web3 thing. It's just they have that connect to MetaMask button. People assume it's Web3. Centralized storage is Web3. Decentralized DNS is Web3. What else? Applications that are built with the sole purpose of you having control of your data, privacy. That's what Satoshi came about with. He wanted to give us the power to control our own privacy, our own data when it comes to financial transactions. Okay, so my topic is decentralized DNS. But first, let me ask, how does the internet work? Let's start from there. We have talking about WeCrypt. WeCrypt uses the internet, it's a router, right? What is, how does the internet work? Anyone answers is $10 in CRO. Anyone? How does the internet work?
TCP IP protocol. Sorry, Jeff Tanner here.
Okay.
TCP protocol handshake, or like IP address connects.
Can you break it down further?
Okay,
let me narrow it down more. How does the DNS work? It's something we all use.
Are like servers you can connect to, like somebody can provide hosting, and you can use your IP. And someone can provide, the company can provide hosting services, and then your IP, which is MTN, and you can provide IP services. So that handshake connects to the internet. There are different protocols, TCP, and the one for video call.
Yeah, there. But there's something I'm looking for.
All of them.
Okay, I see someone here. Okay, yeah. I'm sure you Googled it. Did you Google it? No? Okay.
Yeah. Good day, all.
Yeah.
To break it down in a we are here developers. So to break it down in a developer's way, internet actually it serves. For example, now they have the server side, they have the client side. So if you come to your Google and you type, for example, crypto TV now, search for crypto TV. It will go to the server side and get the information through the DNS, which is I've forgotten the name of the domain something systems. So it will get the information back to you at the client side. That is just typical layman understanding of for me.
I like that explanation. That's straight. Any other contribution? I see a hand there. That was the first I see here. Like I said, it's interactive.
Which one?
However you answer is how I go with my talk. The guy on the hood. Yeah. Tell me your name too as well. I would like to know everyone.
My name is Melvin. Okay, so for me, like the internet just basically connects different nodes and servers at different places, and also like connects them. It helps in transmission of data from those different nodes and servers, and that data could be anything. Then it does this through protocols like, let's say, the HTTP and the HTTPS protocols and other different ways. It just connects them across the world.
Okay, I think I like that answer the best. Mr. Go, do you agree? Is that one the best? Okay. All right. So no problem. When I'm done, arrest me. That's just it. Just arrest me. Okay. So with that said, okay, what would happen? Let's say all of a sudden, what would happen if the internet stops working? Have anyone imagined that? What would happen for 24 hours straight? No internet. What would happen? Anyone say, what will happen?
No Twitter.
Say what? Say you to kill us.
There's going to be chaos.
Okay, chaos, okay. What chaos? What are the chaoses? What are the chaoses? Can you use your bank? Can you transfer money again? Can you do transfer? No? What else?
People will probably die. People will die. Like, there will be accidents. People are going to die. A lot of things will happen. Like,
Okay.
Hospitals use internet.
Yes.
The police uses the internet. A
Yes.
lot of shit will go wrong.
Okay. More calamities. I want to gauge. Has anyone thought about it this deeply? What are more problems? You said more people lose money. And people that are trading crypto.
I think the only thing I can imagine that's worse than the internet shutting down totally is rapture.
Rapture. Oh. Pastor, sir, I didn't even know you are here, sir. Emoji. I'm sorry, sir. All right. Thank you. So, what happened? Like, for developed worlds, it even be worse for them than even us here, but it will still feel the impact. Everyone uses the internet for browsing, for banking. Banking would stop for 24 hours. Sometimes you go to use your POS, right? And some of these things, all of these things communicate through the internet. Most of these things will stop working. And we'll notice financial services have halted. Most of the things have halted. So I'm going to talk about a part of the internet as well that's called the DNS, right? Which is a domain name system. More people know about ENS, right? Who's familiar with ENS? Okay, I'm going to rant. I'm going to cast many group of people because this thing about DNS vexes me sometimes, right? So if you're in a particular group that I roast, later I'll tell you sorry, I beg. So to the previous one. So previous. Okay, yeah. So we're talking about DNS query. What is a root zone? DNSSEC, Certificate Authority, Handshake DIN. I'm not sure I would go through everything, but like I said, once I'm able to get you to a level of understanding about the internet and what blockchain can do on the internet, then I think my job is done. Okay, so forward. So how does DNS work? Someone described it here, but let me go through it. Let's say I'm trying to go to bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is just an IP. Like I explained, it's nodes communicating through nodes. Servers communicating through servers. Servers know what IPs are. Is IPs they know. If you yourself know your website, all your websites, google.com, joseph.com, which other websites, all of zenfinance.com, is all an IP. There's a server hosting it. They're all within an IP. So what is DNS? DNS is something that was created to help us get human understanding about what this is. For example, let's say I ask you of your website to carry this thing and be sending to me. How will I even memorize it? It doesn't even make sense. So that was why this was created, right? So I want to go to bitcoin.com, next slide. And that is my URL. So let me break it down. We have the root zone. In every browser, it doesn't show you, but there's a dot at the end. In all of your browser, your Google Chrome, they mostly hide it because of UX, right? How are designers here, product designers that make things more usable for us? I'm not seeing hands, so I'm not product designers here. Okay. So we have a root zone. We have the .com, which is the top level domain. Call it TLDs. We have Bitcoin, second level domains, and www. So www bitcoin.com. It's all broken down. There's a final dot here, which is the root zone. The top level domain, the skull level domain, and the top subdomain. So next. So I'm trying to go to bitcoin.com. First thing I do, the root zone is the main thing, right? I'm going to talk to you about the dark part about the root zone and why we need blockchain in this. Because why was blockchain created? Right? To make things public, one of the things, right? To make sure we have control of our own data, right? And this entire thing I'm talking about is Web3. Before Connect to MetaMask is not Web3. This part of Web3 that talks about the internet. Because of the buzzword Web3, they named themselves D-Web, decentralized web. And anybody that is building something that is on the internet, they majorly go with themselves D-Web. Because of that belief that Web3 is connected to MetaMask, which is great marketing, by the way, so for the smart contracts and everybody people. So www.bitcoin.com, you go to the root zone. Root zone is an IP, right? It's an IP, it's a server, right? Your browser is what we call recursive resolver. Your client, your desktop, your phone, your Google, your Chrome browser, your Brave browser, your Mozilla, right? You ask the root zone. The root zone would say, next. The root zone would say, I don't know what bitcoin.com is, but I know this IP, and this IP is .com. I don't know what it is, and I ask this IP, which is .com. Next. .com would say, I don't know what bitcoin.com is. What is it? I don't know the full name, but next. I know what Bitcoin is, which is an IP. Let me ask Bitcoin of this information. This is how your entire internet works, your DNS. Okay, next. I don't know what bitcoin.com is. That is next. But I know the owner of Bitcoin, and I can tell you that www. is this. So it's a series of questions and answers. That's how the DNS works. Series of people interacting with each other. I don't know what this is, but I can tell you who knows this, and so on and so forth. You load it, and then next, voila, you have bitcoin.com. This is their old website. I think they have changed. So next. So in total, this is how the structure of our DNS works. We have the root zone. If you see, everything all points to the root zone, right? We have the top level domains, the TLDs, the .com, the .org, the .net, the Google, the Facebook, the Bitcoin, right? We have the www. They have mail.google.com, right? They have www.google.com. Which other products? And so on and so forth. Cloud.google.com, drive.google.com, right? There are many of them. Same thing. These are all subdomains. They are parts. They are IPs. DNS is all about delegation of authority. Next. Okay, so what is the root zone? And this is the dark part about it. Do you know the entire, as we explained the structure, go back please. Everything relies on this guy. And I explained it is what? Anyone know what it is? The root zone. Yeah, thank you. So, which means a lot of power is delegated to this person. But what is this guy here? What is this root zone? What does it do? Next. That's what I'm going to explain. So, there's something we call ICANN. Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It's an NGO, right? And what is their job? Their job is, okay, before I go to that as well, do you know zenfinance.com is not actually owned by Zen Finance, it's leased. Zen Finance leased it from .com. Zen Finance doesn't even own that domain. Bitcoin.com is leased. Who are the rightful owners? .com. They sold you access to it. And who gave .com the ability to do that? The root zone. Right? That is ICANN. That's them. So I'm talking about the dark part of this. So I have a video here, but I think internet is bad. I would have played it, but I don't know if it's showing there. Is it showing there? Okay, no, it's not. Maybe I took it off. So that is no back root zone. So that is the root zone. So what happens, or how does this root zone work on things? So it's a bunch of people, bunch of executives Every year they do this. Bunch of executives comes together. Who knows cryptography, public key cryptography? Okay, I won't explain, it's out of my scope of my talk. So what they do is they come together every year. They come together, it's like an event, it's celebrated. You see executives, everybody in suits. ICANN. And then what do? They sign digital signatures. So the root zone is like multi-sig if you think of it in that sense. Digital signatures, they all sign together. And all that thing they sign together, they all sign it and put it in a safe locked in Los Angeles. A safe underground somewhere. So your internal DNS system is actually controlled by, it's actually locked up in a safe in Los Angeles, USA. Think about that. So what would happen if the internet goes off? What happens if DNS goes down? Imagine that chaotic thing I mentioned. Maybe I'm going too far from it, but because I'm talking about DNS, it's not fully the internet, but just imagine that. We are delegating too much power on ICANN, which controls our root zone. And guess what? ICANN is like what happens with every central authority you give a lot of power. What happens? What is the one particular thing that happens when you give a body so much power? You say what? Exactly. Corruption, abuse. And ICANN has done a whole lot of that, I'll tell you that. One of the things they do is, normally when people are coming to buy top level domains, and what I explain top level domains are .com, .net, .org, .io, .x, all these popular ones you know. .crypto, right? Who are the universal domain people? Okay, I came for you guys too, so they are not here. So, okay, so you have that aspect there. So what does ICANN do with these top level domains? So normally they hold an auction. Let's say I'm trying to have a top level domain that is called .joseph, right? I want to own .joseph. First I have to buy a form of more than, I don't know how many, whether it's more than $100,000 or something. I don't own it yet though, but I'm buying form. And after buying the form, it's put into an auction, bidding auction. You see a lot of big guys, a lot of Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, them, all those people in their caliber. They'll announce them, hey, Joseph has put in a bidding option for .joseph, which is a TLD, top level domain. Who's interested in owning .joseph? People come, we start bidding. Who knows how bidding works? More of like, everybody knows that, right? Those that watch movie, I'm bidding 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, sold, right? Yeah, exactly. And after that, I own my domain if I win. That is the entire process. But what does ICANN do sometimes? ICANN sometimes buys these domains, reserves it for the executives. No bidding auction, sold. Like I said, what happens with too much authority given to a central organization, an abuse. And they've done that. Most of the .com, .net, most of all these popular domain, top level domains you know, is owned by ICANN executives. It's an NGO. Does that add up? I'm getting ready to think about it, right? So, next. Is everyone following me?
Yes.
Okay, next. Okay, so, this is going too technical. I was told that I go too technical sometimes, so I'm now moonwalking backwards. So, that is how our root zone works. And with that as well, there are a lot of people that have, or a lot of blockchain products that have come up, right? You have ENS. What does ENS tell you they do? They'll collect your domain name, right? Your address. They break it down into a domain. You can host websites on this. I could tell you how all of them work, but none of them solves this problem, which is the root zone. If you believe me, with what Satoshi dreamt about, or what Satoshi did with Bitcoin, we can do it without root zone, which is take out the central authority, do what? Put it on a blockchain. Right? So DNSSEC is security in Bitcoin and so on. Maybe next, I'll just show you before I go further into it. Is it off? Okay. I'll show it to you. Okay. So let me go on. So those that, okay, I saw some ENS people here. Have they all gone? Chidi.it, Abby, on Twitter. Where else? Where are they? What is your own? Dot what? Is it dot all or dot it? Dot ed. Okay, where are dot so? Where are they? All of them. So, what you are doing actually, you are saying, oh, it's just brand. It doesn't solve the problem. You guys, it's not solving the problem. It's not solving, and you buy a website that ends with .it, and then you host you're not actually on the blockchain. You're still not decentralizing anything. You're not solving anything. You're not, if coming to that Web3 aspect, you're still not on the blockchain in that particular aspect. So this aspect I feel needs decentralization the most, because thinking about that dark horror, what will happen if everything just goes blank? 2 hours, 3 hours. Same thing happen. What will happen if a blockchain halts? Same thing happened with Solana. That panic that's happening could be similar to some things, but with what's DNSSEC? So DNSSEC is DNS security. So with everyone that has a Mac, who has a computer here, whatever thing it is, if you open your laptop or if you go to websites or your browsers, you see a key that is locked, SSL, some of those things, right? That plays aspect to DNSSEC. So when you go to your laptop, your Mac OS, search for something that is called key access. Whenever you buy a MacBook, by default you have some already verified people added to you, like for example, people that people trust, or let's say people that everyone trusts, pretty much added to your laptop. There is a cyber trust security network. I would have explained this better with my slide. It's visual. Who has a Mac, open it up, you check key access, you see some of these things, access. And then it's all based on, DNSSEC also works on the same aspect of DNS. It's a security aspect, but it's DNS. In the sense, you ask a series of questions to get the security that you want. In the sense, by default, your Mac has something that is called Cyber Trust Network. Cyber Trust Network trusts most of your SSL. You click on it, you check. Who are the DNS? Who are the people that is offering this? You see a name, you check, it's already installed on your computer. How? It's operating on trust. Majority of the security aspect of DNSSEC as well is built on trust model. We trust each other. And when people trust everybody, some things are about to go wrong or people will cheat the system. So one thing, I was looking into this as well. There's a project that came into my mind. Because this aspect of decentralizing the internet, decentralizing the root zone, has been tried by various companies over the past, and I will give them the names. You have Nemacoin. Back then, 2017, 2018, they tried to solve this aspect, but most of them did not solve the main problem. They're also doing the same thing .it people are doing. Just got a fancy name. I'm answering .it. The unstoppable domain people, I'm answering .crypto. Right? And actually, you don't actually own that aspect. You don't even own your TLD. Like I was explaining with Zen Finance, and they rent it. Whoever buys your domain name, you go to namecheap.com, you buy your domain, you actually are on a lease. You don't own it. So it's a lease based on trust. What happens if whatever happened, that trust gets violated, and the government says we are taking dots. That hasn't happened yet, or maybe it has. We are taking Zen Finance from you. What happens? That's it. So with this aspect, I was looking which companies or which projects are looking into this problem of the root zone. And then I found an interesting project, which before then I contributed to them, which is a fork of a Bitcoin client, which is called Bitcoin. It's called the Handshake. I don't know if anyone have known of it. The Handshake blockchain. What does Handshake does? Handshake changes that root zone to the blockchain. That root zone that we have a lot of authority on changed to the root zone is now on the blockchain. And what happens when that root zone is on the blockchain? The guys at Handshake did some very, very interesting things based on their architecture, because when you are trying to develop something or evolve something from how it is, you look at how it's currently working and then you build and evolve around it. For example, I was hearing who was talking about chat systems or chatting, instant messaging, right? if you're trying to evolve instant messaging, the blockchain, what do? How does instant messaging work? Currently, they are doing something right for them to get the global, for Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp to get the global attention they are. Look at what are they doing right? We build on top of it and evolve it. What is it? It's instant, it's fast. Most people build blockchain social media, you put on the blockchain, some blockchains which are slow. They are not innovating. That's not innovation. But the guys at Handshake did something very interesting. Which is, they enabled you, for example now, I can change my root zone on my laptop. The root zone is an IP. We talked about it here, right? I can change to an IP that is the IP of a recursive resolver or a node, particularly, that is on the Handshake network. And what does that enable me do? With that as well, I can browse through normal thing. I can go to google.com. I can go to this or this, and so on and so forth. Everyone with your phone, you have internet. Yeah? Go to namebase.com. Namebase. N-A-M-E, name with a base.com. No, .com. Okay, sorry, sorry. Namebase.io, sorry. It's a mistake from me. Namebase. That's Mr. Ugochukwu knows now that he doesn't own. Oh, he has already known, but maybe he didn't care. He's doing business, I mean. Knows now he doesn't own zenfinance.com. Whoever owns it is .com owns it. .com owns it, and how did they get it? From ICANN, right? And then what do? They sell it to, what happens? .com then leases Zenfinance to Mr. Gochukwu here when he bought the domain. So what happens if Zenfinance owns .zfinance? Let's say they are trying to get it now. What will happen? They bring in $100,000 plus, right? Buy form plus all the legal matter. It could take like 2-3 years or thereabout, or a couple of months. And on top, they will now enter into a bidding war with Elon Musk them and the big guys, the financial powerhouses and so on, to be able to own full control of their website and so on. But Handshake does something easy and simpler with this. With Handshake, you can own .zenfinance. You can own .joseph. And what do I do as someone that owns .joseph? I can be your ICANN. I rent, someone tell me a name. I can rent Simeon. Simeon comes to me now and buys Simeon.joseph on the blockchain. And how much? A couple of cents. If you are checking Z Finance, I've already bought it though. So Mr. Gochukwu, you come and meet me. So for that aspect of things, so why I told you to all go to Namebase. Namebase is like a registry on Handshake. Even guess what? Your popular domain name registry is working on Handshake. Why? They see this is where things are going to. Namebase already integrates Handshake. You go to Namebase now, browse Handshake domains. You can go to GoDaddy is actually working on it. Even which Brave browser is working on Handshake recursive resolvers and so on. Because this is where we are going to. We need to decentralize our internet to a particular point, our DNS system. Too much power is placed on ICANN, and we all know that. Those in that industry know that. So I own .joseph, I rent it, I become, I own the TLD. And whoever gets .joseph can, who owns Simeon.joseph can, www.simeon.joseph can resell and so on and so forth. But Handshake did something crazy. They reserved the top 100 names and so on the blockchain and so on and so forth. But anyway, let me get back on track. So with that being said, now you own full control of it. You now can act as your own registry. What crazy name are you talking about? And guess what as well? Google did something crazy as of recent. You can go to, even with your, Google bought their own TLD from .com. They know there's nothing like, now Google that you are known as google.com, which in future will migrate to just mail.google. It's even a sweeter name, mail.google. A company brand as their own website. You just search Google or just type in Google. It resolves and brings you the website. Mail.google, not google.com. no Google.this. It's even a very much sweeter website aspect. The name of the brand and so on. For those that own .com or whatever, they can still resell and so on. So Handshake enables you to do this as well, and it's working. If you are port to a Handshake resolver, you can browse any internet. You can actually see Handshake domain names and so on and so forth. But notwithstanding the part, like I said, the DNS, the internet that we know, what will happen if work goes dark? Handshake solves that for us. And the unstoppable domain, how does it work as well? Let me demystify that. It's actually the same thing. They get an SLD for you. They give you the same thing. You rent.crypto. All those people that are answering, you don't actually own the full power of your name. You are leased. You are leasing it. And Handshake is very, very interesting. For example, as I own .z Finance now, I can sell it to them. People that know about domain sales, right? People that buy domain. Person that owned the EKG before sold it to her, right? Exactly. A friend of mine reached out to me as of recent. We were talking. He was my former boss, right? And we were talking. He said he got a Handshake name and he sold it for $17,000. Someone was interested in it and bought it from him. $17,000. There's already a market on this, a secondary market. Buy names, reserve, sell letter. I actually have a copy. I have more than 100 Handshake names and so on. And whoever, depending, let me try and maybe I'll blow from there. I don't know. Since I've been speaking, I've not blown yet. So, with that being said, there's also a secondary market for that. You can make money from it. You can become your own registrar. One of the toppest domain names on Handshake was .crypto on Handshake. Was actually sold for more than, I don't know, 20,000. It was a bidding war. Everybody was bidding on it. Right now, if you go to Handshake, Handshake works in something like a victory auction. The same way ICANN kind of works. That same model, but who do we trust? An NGO with a lot of power, or do we trust the blockchain? I'll pick the blockchain, the latter. So, in that aspect, there is financial incentives to it. For those that want to make money from Handshake, but also with that mental consciousness that we know that right now we can now own our TLDs. We can now have the DNS system in a blockchain. So DNS is still part of Web3. Everything is still part of Web3. So demystifying Web3 is not connected to MetaMask. There's still a lot more it does. So that's all I have. Unfortunately, I didn't have my slides to show you some other things. But have I done justice? Did everyone learn anything? Okay, thank you very much.
Please put your hands together for him.
Questions?
Okay. Please,
Any
if you have
questions?
questions, please raise your hands up. He's going to answer those
No,
questions.
then it's good. I did a good job then. I smashed Pepper then.
Okay. We're going to take 3 questions. 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Good day, everyone. I have a Web3 question, Sha.
All right.
This is namebase.io. Right, fine. And then for developers, I want to be a future developer. So, like, if I want to work on a project now, let's say bigcards.io, right? So I have to go to Namebase, right?
Yes, a registry.
And
Any registry.
And register the domain, yes.
Yeah,
So-
the top level
so
domain.
the question
yes.
is this: if as a developer, how do you assess this root,
The root zone.
the root zone with this name.io? Like,
So, okay. So how do majority of our Web3 applications work today? You have the smart contracts, right? Majority of, if you have the smart contracts, what does smart contract do? It communicates with the blockchain. It's deployed on the blockchain. You fetch data from it. You have your front end to talk with it. How do you send transactions on Bitcoin? Most of these wallets that you have, or most of these wallet services that you have, they do what? They connect to, they all run nodes. And that node is their gateway to the blockchain. So if you want to connect directly to the Handshake blockchain, you don't even need Namebase. You just go run a node, start interacting with the node. There is libraries for it. You can also actually build your own Namebase. People have actually built their own name base. There's even an Indian own version of name base. There are many of them, even a lot actually. So you don't even need name base to make a registry or register a domain name on Handshake. You just run a node. That's all you need. I hope. Okay. The gateway to the blockchain, yes. Yeah. Yes. So all these platforms people are using, Infura, all of them, they all run nodes. What they do is that nodes, like I said, the simplest way I've explained it, they are the gateway to the blockchain. So they run nodes. They just make it easier for you so you don't run nodes. Actually run a Handshake node. There is a light client. There is a light client. Light clients are like lighter versions of the node. They are not that heavy, in the sense that they stream some blocks. A full node has I don't know. Should I explain this? Okay. Thank you. Okay. If that is it. Then. Any other question?
Yes.
Okay.
Like you said that.
Yes, the person I'm owing. Yes.
The Handshake people that
Yes.
they will allow you to like have your own domain name.
Yes.
So let's say like your domain name now is maybe something dot LTH like this now. Now does it mean that no other person can have that dot LTH? You're the one that owns it.
Yes.
No other website can have dot LTH aside from you.
Yes. Pretty much.
And
So-
also,
Okay, go on.
you talked about like if the internet goes down, everything happens. So since those nodes are on the blockchain, those nodes, are they like computers of people connected to the blockchain?
The blockchain runs on internet. I'm just trying to play with your give you an imagination on site what happens when you put so much authority and some other things. So the DNS I'm explaining is part of the internet, right? The blockchain runs on internet and so on.
So if
Computers
the internet goes down, does it also affect the blockchain or does it not affect it?
pretty much, who has an answer to that? Who can answer that for me? Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, our last question. You have a question? Our last question. Has answered the question?
Okay.
Okay,
So-
any other question? One more.
Another way to rephrase it, what happens if the root zone
Okay,
goes
yeah.
down? You will have to be interacting with IPs. So yeah.
So my question is this: you said we can't trust ICANN because of the few reasons you gave here. So I want to know why you feel you can trust the blockchain. Like, what's the consensus mechanism that is used for giving those that top level?
Can you trust Bitcoin?
Yes.
Why are you okay? You are saying why would you trust the blockchain? Because everyone has access to it. It's something everyone can see. If I send you 1 BTC, everyone can see, and you can see I sent you 1 BTC, right? And everyone can have their own copy of Bitcoin. It's a node. Bitcoin is simply a node. Everyone can have their own copy of the Bitcoin node. You can run it, I can run it. There is no limit to access. I go to ICANN and join their meeting and say you want to do this. There is a limit to access, right? Blockchain is limitless. Anyone can run a node. Anyone can contribute to the ecosystem. Anyone can mine. Anyone can be anything, depending on what it is and so on. So why would you not trust a system that is open, that everyone can read data from it? Everyone can write data to it. Everyone can manage it, and so on. Okay, do you trust is this live? Do you trust who managing your government money? Who is managing CPN? Everybody is complaining and say we want it more transparent and so on. But that's the main thing, right? Anyone can be anything on the blockchain. Anyone can run a node. Anyone can host a node. Anyone can read data, write data. It's open. And Handshake runs on proof of work, not proof of stake. So that's one of the value aspect of proof of work, where it works pretty much. It works for the Handshake aspect. I don't go too much into technicals. That's how it works, that it's able to scale. But yeah, pretty much. Any other question? Or is that all? All right, thank you very much.
Please put your hands together for him. Mr. Ugo has something to add.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. All right, guys. So, I mean, I've never had anybody talk about how the internet works in my life. What I mean is like in Nigeria or in Africa, most people don't talk about it. And you know, when they come to blockchain events, that's why I would say something like everybody's talking about. Maybe you might talk about smart contracts and all that. That's decentralization cuts across multiple fields. So, in understanding Web3, like I think with the Polygon event that happened last week, I was like, look, it's just a concept, right? Before you can go to Web3, you need to understand this Web2. So when Joseph was talking, I was like, look, I think because we are majority of, like, we have just developers here, so I think it's cool to give out a challenge. It doesn't matter. Because the last one, we were not developers. We were mostly, it was a mix of people who are trying to get it, but now it's properly filled with mostly developers, I think about 80%. The internet really is just, if you have two computers like this, one has information, one doesn't have information, you want to request information from one. As long as you can establish a communication, that is basically the simple concept or the basic concept of how the internet really works. Then at scale is when you have all these things happening. And it's because we need to scale up that we now need to start having, and people need to understand it easily, that you need your domain name, systems and all these things. But guess what? You will not really know this thing if you don't really study or try it out. For example, at White right? A little bit about my background. So when I was doing internship then at KPMG, I started doing, what's that thing called? CCNA, right? I did CCNA, to be honest, because it was one of my colleagues then. I was like, you know, let's just do, I was doing VAPT, Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing. What it means hacking into systems. But for you to understand that thing, you have to do with a lot of, you know, DNS resolution, all this Nmap, IP stuff. I didn't really understand it. So I had to start doing CCNA. And I realized that, wait, I could learn a lot. I understood a lot of things by doing CCNA. But I stopped there. Then, when we now had to build Ycrypt, it became a big problem. And I was really happy that I learned some of those things, because if you're building something like Ycrypt, it's very advanced. You have to, like, we basically built our own operating system on Linux. That's like a flavor. That's what we built, right? And when I was working on it then, nobody could help me. I was doing it all alone. But guess what? Our main aim really is to be able to decentralize the internet. And you cannot really do that if you don't understand how the internet works. So my challenge here is this. It doesn't matter how long as you're here. I don't know the people, I don't have the data, but even if someone is listening to me outside, if we have someone in this Enugu, right, or anybody that can build, I mean, you can simulate how the internet works. Working on the hardware, right, working on the software, the whole, I mean, you can use existing operating systems, maybe like Linux. I'll prefer if you're using Linux, right, if possible, because it gives us access to play around with. In case some parts of the code, you need to understand what's going on. It's open source, so you can actually go. So if you can run your own flavor and simulate this whole thing, how the internet works, how it communicates, like how different machines communicate, resolution, you can actually do it on your own, right? If you're able to do that, to be honest, I'm going to put like a price of minimum of $10,000. It can be more, right? Oh. But minimum of $10,000 for anybody that can show me the system. You build your entire stack, maybe with yourself or your team. I mean, we are developers, so there has to be something interesting. It can be more, like I said. I'm just saying this one, at least the one I know that if someone starts to beat me today, I can afford. But we can even have more people to top it up. I know I can speak to a couple of people to even make it more interesting. But I'm not going to post it on social media. It's not my business. You people have heard it here. That's what I'm just saying. And I think if you're able to solve that problem at that level, you see this decentralization thing, you can if you understand how packets flow, how information, how communication works, you can build so many things around that thing. So because at times when you see some of these projects, it's as if those people have two heads. They don't have two heads. But the thing is that they understand, some of them try to understand, not all of them do, understand how things work. How many of you have heard of interplanetary file systems, IPFS? IPFS is another gateway into like a decentralized web, because they don't really need a website to access resources, right? So please, if you're interested, like I said, I think for us to get, because a lot of things he was saying, Even some of them I've never heard them before, right? But I could put them together because I've read about a couple of them before. But I know a lot of people here are confused, no matter what you want to tell me. There's no way you will tell me you are not confused at some point. So, and it's not his fault, it's your fault. No, I like to be blunt. I mean, I'm not trying to impress anybody. No matter who is here, even if Elon Musk will say, I'll say it's the same thing. He might not even know half of what he said. Do you understand? So the thing is, but this thing is relevant to Web3. You need to make that you need to understand what is happening in Web2. So if you can build out, I don't know how many of you have heard of, is it Snowden, the CIA or whatever guy? Yeah. Look, let me tell you, these guys, right? When you see what these people do, you understand that, look, what we're doing here is like, it's sort of child's play. You need people that understand how systems work. I mean, when I was doing a presentation on Ycrypt one day for NCC, so they asked me a question. They were like, okay, what's like, I think they were like, this, your technology, what happens when, in quote, internet becomes free? I told them that internet can never be free, that's number one, especially with Nigeria. I said, you guys don't have anything. The hardware, you don't make it. The operating system that runs the hardware, you don't make it. Everything is basically made by Huawei. I said, the day Huawei will wake up and press stop, Nigeria is gone. And I'm telling you, MTN, Glo, most of their hardware, and they run, you realize that you don't have anything. Do you understand? But it's with people here making replicate even if you can copy. The thing is, even if I give you the entire hardware and the code, can you understand it? So if you can copy, replicate, and understand, you trust me, Nigerians or other governments will even prefer to work with you because some of these guys have become too big and too expensive. And trust me, people will prefer to handle their data. Maybe other people that are not, in quotes, the Chinese and all that, to handle their data for, well, whatever obvious reasons, right? So I'm saying this thing because some people might feel like, this thing now, where will I start? That's the point. You should not know where to start, but you should be able to try. You can never understand this thing if you don't go that low. Like I said, I don't understand everything, obviously. And that's why we're saying, if you can build something like this, you'll definitely get that reward. And for a company like Ycrypt, we'll hire you on the spot. When I mean on the spot, and it won't be like, because I can't tell you that we have any, should I say, any resource that can give us all that information. Do you understand? You might be able to discover something by doing that research. So I'm saying this because we are developers. I mean, I won't say it if it was just an open conference or an open event, but this is something like a sort of closed event, and I think that you guys have the requisite skills or the mind. You don't need to have you can't have everything to actually attack the problem. But I'm happy to see what people will call. Trust me, this is not something you're doing. It's not a hackathon 2 days something, no. This is something it might take you up to 1 year, but just hold me and tell me that you said this thing 1 year ago. And just like the Lannisters, they always pay their debt. If you watch Game of Thrones, I always pay my debt, I don't owe. So yes, please, if you can do that, I'll be good. Yeah.
Please put your hands together for him, please.